Lounge with Travefy Academy, where we get to hear from travel industry voices and experts to learn more about their story and also what they see on the horizon for travel professionals. And I'm Stephanie Grice, and our guest today is Tesa Totengco, who's owner and CEO of Travels with Tesa. So welcome to the lounge. We're so excited for you to join us here today.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thanks for having me. I'm a Travefy user, and I send all my clients their itineraries in Travefy. So I am, very excited to be here.
Yes, that's so awesome. Well, we are really grateful to have you as a user. And where are you calling in from again? You're traveling right now.
Yes, I'm actually in Kerala, in India, and I have been in India since January 15. I left the US on January 10. I went to Singapore, and now I'm in the south. Tomorrow I'm leaving, and I'm going to Delhi, and then I'm going to do all of Rajasthan. It's
Oh,
my
that's
first time in India, so I'm taking at least like a month-long trip here.
amazing. And we're going to get into that more during this episode for all of you listening and like, whoa, this is cool. I love how you really, really immerse yourself. So it's so cool. And it's just, look where you are right now. So really cool. So I'm excited to be, and I know it's kind of crazy because you're basically like a whole day ahead, which is just so crazy. So thank you again for making time for us
You're
during
welcome.
this. But first though, before we dive in, can you just share just a background of how you found yourself in the travel industry and just how you started Travels with Tessa?
Sure. So actually, I was a travel agent in the 90s, but back then, being a travel agent, and I say agent, not advisor, really meant it was a very transactional process. People needed airline tickets, they needed hotel reservations, and I was just doing most of that. And I stopped doing that for a while, and I had got married, had my child, and then I joined the fashion industry, and I spent most of my career in the fashion industry. I traveled a whole ton to Italy, to France, all over the US, international as well. And then about 5 years ago, I planned, I always planned my trips, plan trips for other people. About 5 years ago, I planned a trip to Cuba, and friends decided, asked me if they wanted to come along. So all of a sudden, I had a group of 8 people to take to Cuba with me. And on the trip, one of my friends said, "Wow, you're so good at this. Like, you should really be doing this." And I said, "Yeah, you're right. I really should be doing this. This is really what I love to do. I wonder how I can do this again." I really wasn't thinking about joining the travel industry. I met somebody who was in the industry, gave me some ideas about host agencies. And then I said, okay, that's it. This is what I really want to do. I really want to be in travel. I really want to help people travel, and I want to keep on traveling myself. So that trip to Cuba was really like the spark of it when somebody said to me, "You're good at this. You should be doing this." Sometimes it's not obvious to ourselves what we're good at, right? We need somebody else to like, put the mirror in front of us.
Yeah, that's so cool. And it's what your passion, and that's such a cool thing. And on that too, do you specialize in any type of niche or what has that journey look like for you and just how you find your clients?
Right. So I don't specialize in any destination because most of my clients really are world travelers. So one year they'll be in Europe, the next they'll be in Asia, and after that, Africa. So wherever they want to go, I should be able to help them in their journey. They trust me. I have all of their details. I know all their likes, their dislikes. So it's really like a seamless service when they work with me. And I'm really happy about that. I really like having repeat clients because it shows that there's trust involved. I put a lot of my time and effort and my heart into their trips. And the reward is, again, when they come back and then when they refer me to their other friends. So I like to say I specialize in my clients.
I love that. That's really cool. That's awesome there. And so what first caught my attention just about your business, because it's not only like if you go, anyone who's listening, you have to go check out the Instagram feed of you because it is so cool, especially now we can follow along on so many of your journeys right now. But you seem so fully immersed as a world traveler. And that's just so, so inspiring. So how has your own travel just helped shape your business?
Some of my clients or a lot of my friends who became my clients have always asked me, "I like how you travel. I'd like to travel with you." So it means that I'm doing something right in the way that I travel. It's not for everybody. I think you have to write a fine travel advisor for you as a client. And as a travel advisor, you have to find the right clients as well. It has to be a really good match because you are taking care of somebody's dreams and their wishes, and it's on you to fulfill that. That's how I look at it. So, you're in a relationship for the next 8 months until they travel, and even while they're traveling, until they come back, for example. And when it's a happy marriage, it's really happy. I get a really fulfilled from clients who come back saying that they had a wonderful time, they've made memories, and they hope to travel again and use me. So that's what really like makes me happy. Yeah. I don't know if I answered your question actually. I think I digressed.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. And how, so like one thing, like how you are, and a good example is how you're in India right now for a full month. So
Yeah.
because of that, I mean, you want to go there and immerse yourself and travel for yourself, but while you're there, are you also doing things business wise, or what does that look like?
Yeah, so I schedule my time like I'll do because of the time zone difference. It's I work with Europe, I work with people in Australia, in Africa, in Asia. So the time zone is I'm always in some time zone. I try to do some work in the mornings before breakfast, and then I try to do some work in the evenings as well, pretty much, or if I have a break in between. But I try not to make myself too crazy about it. All my clients know that I travel all the time. They know I'm somewhere in the world, so they're very respectful of that. But I also try to keep on top of things, make sure like nothing falls in the cracks.
Yeah, yeah. Which I remember when we were chatting before, you're on world time, which is
Yeah,
so
exactly.
like,
I'm in world time. Right.
yes. I love that. And so what does like the planning process look like for you when you're actually like a professional, travel planner and you're planning your own travels? What does it look like when you're building your itinerary? Are you trying to connect with suppliers that you know or meet new ones, or are you strategizing how you approach your travel?
So for an in-depth country exploration like India, I actually have a partner that I am working with on the ground, a DMC. When I plan trips for clients in any particular country, I always try to have two DMCs to work with, like plan A and plan B, or else, like super luxury and maybe four-star budget. So I have the right partner for the right client again. For India, I've had this partner that I've been working with since 2020. We've planned this trip during COVID. I was supposed to go in 2021. It didn't happen. 2022, it didn't happen. Finally, I'm here in 2023. So throughout those years, we've built like a relationship just by like planning, canceling again. And now that I'm here, I'm able to experience their people, their team on the ground, and how professional and how everything is just smooth. And they've also given me like surprises and delights. So I'm experiencing this trip like as a client would because I'm the client as well. But I'm also looking at it from the perspective of a travel professional. What about this hotel? I'm looking at other properties as well. Well, this hotel may be better for some people or not, or evaluating the experiences as well.
Yeah, that's so cool because that's the most interesting thing. I know a lot of times with especially new travel advisors entering the industry or those looking to kind of change what their niche and what they're selling, and how important do you think that is versus finding the right suppliers, but also really just going there and really planning almost like your own fam trip type of a thing.
Yeah. So one thing that I would say is that when I'm planning my own fam trip and I'm working with a supplier, first of all, sometimes fam trips with other companies are paid, are sponsored, right? You're hosted, which means that you're not paying for anything except for your air. In this regard, I'm paying for everything myself. I'm paying for my air, I'm paying for my hotels, my experiences, be it it may be discounted because of course you're part of the trade, so you'll be extended a better hotel rate, a net price in your activities on this and that. I still look at it as an investment in my business, so that I can sell this destination, an investment in myself so that I can learn something new. And I look for places that I know I can sell, because there's nothing worse than investing your time and your heart, your money into a destination and not have the clients for it. So I'm always cognizant of that. Sometimes clients also, they're also waiting for you to say what's next, what's new. So you have to give them, the perspective, oh, don't just go here because everybody's going there, but what else is new? What else can you offer them? So that's really what I'm looking at.
Yeah, that's such a good point too of knowing what's new and how do you stay up on like trends? Like, are there certain resources that you view, or do you just kind of go off of your own travels and experience?
Uh, Both, I think. I look at, I have travel magazines. I'm part of the Travel and Leisure Travel Advisory Board. So that magazine definitely influences me as well. And, I listen to the editors, what they say are their next trends, what are they looking at, where are people going. We have advisory board meetings. So I sit together with a lot of my industry colleagues who and people are saying this is where people are going, this is what the trends are. So I have that information to go with. But I also look for something that very personal, like what I want to do. We travel for very personal reasons, right? I mean, we're in leisure, we're not in business. So, we travel. Why? Because we want to dream, we want to aspire, we want to, be motivated, and we're looking for that extra thing, to keep us going in our life, so to speak. And I'm not talking about just bucket list destinations, and because I don't want, it's kind of tired, that term, because it's almost like just a checklist. But it's almost like, what is your soul needing? What are you searching for? And it's out there in the world.
I love that. That's so beautifully put. It's your soul needing, and what is it? That's really cool and really inspiring. And we didn't originally talk about this, but I'm curious, is there anything, especially being on the board for travel and leisure, are there any emerging trends that you're seeing coming out, especially coming out of the pandemic now? Is there anything in particular that you're starting to notice?
A lot of family travel, in terms of destinations. Again, it's, Turkey is an emerging destination. India is, again, an emerging destination. It's interesting because while I was here in Kerala, New York Times, even the New York Times said, like, top places to go to, like they listed Kerala. And other news organizations are talking about Kerala. Again, everybody who goes to India does Delhi, Rajasthan, Udaipur, Taj Mahal, all of that. And then down south, which is lesser known, that's like the buzzword. So I find myself, I'm here, and there's a lot of buzz going on. So I'm keeping really like my eyes and ears open to like what that is, why that is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, that's
I do know why that is, but that'll be like for my blog post.
yes. Well, actually,
Yeah.
perfect pivot, because I was gonna ask about that. Is here's the other cool thing is when you actually are traveling or you're going on fam trips, is that you can create content, to share, and you really show like I'm on the ground, I am the expert here. So when it comes to marketing, do you tend to create content while you're traveling, or what does that look like for you?
Yeah, so a big piece of my marketing content is really Instagram, right? It's pictures and words. And for some reason, I really enjoy the long form of Instagram, wherein I'm actually writing something. And on this trip, I decided not to be instantaneous about it. So if I'll be in Mumbai for 2 days, I will wait until I've left, and then I've formulated my thoughts and I know exactly what I need to say and how I look at it. Sometimes when it's too instant, it's just so gut feeling, but I haven't had time to process it. There's a lot to process, a lot of information, a lot of experiences. So I process it later. Nobody needs to know instantly where I am or what I'm doing anyway, and then I'll write about it. And I think that that's important. I like to write, and I like to put my own words as to why this is special, why this is unique, why it touched me, for example. It's almost like a travel diary, my Instagram account when I'm traveling. And then I'll use some of those experts into a blog content that'll live on my website.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I think that's so important just to live in the moment too, because it does, you feel like you need to be doing like Instagram stories, but no one knows, like no one's waiting, for that. And
That's
so,
right.
yeah, so it's kind of nice to wait and formulate your thoughts and then put it out there. So it's really
Yeah, I
smart.
mean, yeah, when we're on the go and we're traveling, I'm taking a lot of pictures, mind you, take pictures, videos, but I'm not posting it right away. Then, when I have the time and when I'm relaxed and I'm at peace and I'm not stressed out, then I review the pictures leisurely and I enjoy it. And then I say, okay, this is what I'm going to say.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that. That's smart. And talk about the endless amount of content you can create too. You can start to really. Do you have a strategy that you use, or do you just know like, oh, I'm traveling this time, so then once I'm back after within a couple weeks, I'll have this new content out, or is there basically a strategy behind it, or you just kind of run with it?
Basically, I just run with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my feed it's very personal. It's personal but professional, I think. I definitely shout out all the different partners who are hosting me, have been so gracious towards me. And I'll make sure that when I feature a property, for example, and I write about the property, that I'm being honest and truthful, um, because I don't, you know, I don't, I want it to come from a very, again, like an honest perspective.
Hmm. Yeah. So that actually brings up something that I don't imagine this happens often, but has it ever happened where you did work with a supplier and you weren't blown away? And how do you handle that? Like if there is, and you're like, I'm glad I experienced it so I don't have to have my clients do this, or how do you handle that if that's ever happened to you?
I think that evaluation, people always ask to be evaluated, right, for
Hmm.
feedback. I certainly ask for it. After a client comes back from a trip, I ask for feedback. And I really pay attention to what they have to say. And it makes me improve my own services, my own way of communication. And any kind of feedback they have with a supplier, I make sure that I share that as well. So we're all in the loop. Um, if it's a negative, for example, I'm really trying not to do it right there. For example, if somebody asks me, we've just done a tour, and they'll say, "What do you think? Well, do you like it?" And I said, like, let me think about it. Let me like form the words, and then I'll get back to you. Because there's always a way of how to do it in a very productive way that doesn't yeah, just being productive about it, trying to put a positive spin on it. I mean, if people are open to feedback, then I'll definitely give feedback. I said, do you
Yeah.
really want to know? Like they say, what do you think? I said, do you really want to know? Are you sure you really want to know? Then I'll tell. And mostly it's from the from the client's perspective, not from my own. Because ultimately it's my client who's going to stay there or who's going to experience it. And there's a certain level that I want, level of service um, for my clients.
Yeah. No, that's really important because yeah, that's something I actually never really thought about sometimes is that what happens when you're not necessarily happy with, but yeah, it's being making it productive, very important.
Right, right.
Um, yeah, I love that. And so final question for you is what advice do you have for travel advisors that are wanting to create either their own fam experience or honestly just finding the right suppliers to work with?
Right. So, in terms of creating your own farm experience, first of all, I think one should have a little bit of track record because the suppliers are also investing their time and resources with you. I mean, it's two ways, right? You're going over to the country and you're asking for services, um, you know, all of the services, and they're also spending the time with you. So there has to be like some track record, and you have to be honest in saying, for example, on this trip, I haven't sold India yet, but I don't doubt that I will. most of the places that I've gone to on my self-fams, I am able to sell successfully after. So I know my own track record. I can say that if I've been to this country and immediately like I'm able to sell it. So I know that, the bookings will come, and I will proactively encourage people to come here now that I've seen it firsthand, for example. So there has to be really a visibility into that. You have to tell the supplier, I've never sold it. I haven't sold India, but I want to. That's why I'm going. Um, yeah. So, and how do you find the suppliers? Well, I mean, one is there's a virtuoso. I mean, I'm part of virtuoso, so there's a virtuoso link. There are other rep companies in the US that also represent other DMCs that are not necessarily virtuoso. And then, ask other advisors who you know. For this particular DMC in India, I asked an advisor friend who I respect greatly, who I know works with India, and she said she's worked with them, highly recommends them, so I went with that.
Awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, relying on the community and
Absolutely.
finding
Yeah.
them. Yeah, just
Yeah.
huge. Yeah, that's really cool. And so I actually lied. I'm not done asking you questions now because so we always like to do this. We like to do rapid fire questions. They're really
Oh my
fun.
God, I'm horrible at that. Okay. Oh
No,
God.
I think you will be really good at these. I'm telling you. Like
Ah,
you're actually going to be like, "Oh, I have so many answers to a lot of these." So they're all like travel related. So,
okay.
here we go. There's 6 or 7, but they'll go fast. Okay. So
Okay.
first one, to give you an idea of what this is going to be like, is what is your favorite travel movie?
Oh my God.
I've stumped her
Blank.
already.
No,
I know.
total blank. So many. Room with the View. Probably
Perfect.
Room with the View. Uh, who did those? Merchant Ivory to Florence. That was like one of the first travel movies that really made me fall in love with Italy. So there.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah. You're too young
Um,
to know that movie, but
I
anyway,
know. I
Room
was
with the
like,
View.
I'm gonna have to put
Yeah.
it on the list,
What?
but yeah, which
Yeah,
one
put it on the list.
is
Yeah.
that?
E.M. Forster's Room with a View. Yeah.
And Room with a View. Okay, to put those ones on there.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one, I feel like I do stump people a lot on, but it's because I'm asking people who have very highly traveled. Is what would you say is your favorite destination you've traveled to?
Okay, I get asked that a lot, so actually I've come up with an answer. One of my favorite cities in cities is Mexico City.
Awesome, that's cool. Love that.
Mexico City. Yeah.
And what
Great
about?
culture, great food, great history, great art, great people. Very easy to get to from the US. I always say give Mexico City a chance. It will blow you away. And that's a city that I can go to anytime. Anytime.
That's really cool. Yeah, I've had Mexico City on my list. I think it's you don't hear about it as often, and yeah, and then people who have been are like, no, it's beautiful. It's awesome. So yeah,
Yep.
really cool. And so this is a little bit of a spin on that question is what do you think is the most underrated destination to visit?
Mexico City.
I know, I was like, that might be the same. Like,
Mexico City. It's funny. Yeah. And I love having clients, I just say, oh, I've heard so many things, so many negative things in the press. I said, trust me, if you know me, just trust me. Let me plan your trip. And then once they go, they're like, why haven't I been here before? I'm like, thank you for trusting me. I
yeah, and
like
especially
converting people, that way.
exactly. Well, and if you're coming from the US, it's so easy to get to, like you
So
said.
easy. Right.
Yeah. So it's like,
Yeah.
oh, that's really cool. And what would you say is the best meal that you've had while traveling?
Oh, not fair.
That's the hard
Uh,
one.
Not fair. Yeah, I mean it's not a meal. It's the cuisine. It's part of the culture, right? So I was in Thailand in December, and the food in Thailand is exceptional. It's amazing. They're so blessed with like fruits and vegetables. I was in Australia in November, and the coffee culture and great coffee and great milk, great pastries, and every place is different. Here in India, what I'm learning are spices. Uh,
Mm,
Something can have 18 different ingredients just to create one spice. I've never that's something that I've never learned before. I don't normally eat with so many spices, but I'm learning that here, and so I'm also enjoying it. So not there's not particular meal because that's not fair.
I know
Yeah,
it's
that's not
tough.
fair. Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, I'm not gonna answer that one.
No, that is a great answer to the question. And that's really cool with the spices. I've been learning a little bit about like all the spices and it's so like all this stuff that's so good for you. And so I'm sure that that's really cool just to learn and how it
Absolutely.
brings so much flavor. Amazing.
Yeah.
So okay, another question here is what is the last great book or article that you've read?
Oh, I'm so bad because when somebody told me you're going to Mumbai, you should read the book Shantaram. Okay. So I ordered it on Amazon. It arrived. I started reading it, and I said, I wonder if this is on television. And it really is. It was on
It's
Apple TV. So I just got Apple TV and I binge watched the entire episode. I'm sorry. So Shantaram, it's based in Mumbai, and so that was my intro to Mumbai. Shantaram. There you go.
That's awesome. I'll have to look that one up because I'm the same way. If there is a movie or a TV show on it, I'm gonna go that route.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
a lot
it's
of
like,
times I'm really like influenced by movies when I travel. Like I've seen this movie and I want to go there. So even for my clients, like when they say I want to go here, and I say, well, what movie influenced you? Were you influenced by a movie? Were you influenced by a book? Because often that will shape how I'll design the trip. They have this certain
yeah.
vision or expectation. Was it from a movie? And then so then I understand like the kind of type of trip that they want.
Yeah. So a question on that really, because I'm very curious. Is there anything lately that a lot of people had that has come out like over the past few years, like a movie or a TV show, and you're noticing it becoming popular?
Well, one particular one, for example, I was watching Glass Onion. Did you see that on Netflix?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So Glass Onion, I was watching it and I turned to my husband. I said, that looks like Spetses in Greece. So that looks like the island of Spetses because we were there a couple of years ago. So I looked it up and indeed it was.
Wow.
And it so happened that I'm designing a trip for clients, a family to go to Greece, and they are going to be in Spetses. So I said to her, I said, watch the Glass Onion. The island that you're going to be at, the hotel you're going to stay at is in that movie. So it's just kind of cool that way.
That is so cool. I did not realize it was there. Oh, that's cool. Well,
Yeah,
now I have a new place to add to my list now because of that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's awesome. Okay, so last question. Okay, what would you say is the craziest thing that's ever happened to you while traveling?
Wow. Oh my God, why are you asking me these
I know.
things? I have to think about it.
It's like end of the day for you, and you're like, oh man.
Um, oh, you're stumping me right now. I'm sure there's many. I really can't think about it. I
Oh yeah,
don't
no
know.
worries.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I'm
But
sure there's
every trip gives me something. Okay, so I have a fear of heights. I used to have a fear of heights. And then last year, I kept on going to mountains for some reason. And then one day I said, I no longer have a fear of heights because I kept on traveling and I would be in a mountain or in a cliff. And then one day, like I wasn't afraid anymore. So I think like that was really cool. Like I cured myself by just being in places that were like super high up so often that my fear was gone. So
that's awesome. Oh, that's really cool. See,
yeah.
mine's spiders, and I don't think I really want to explore that. Oh God. Like,
I mean, that's kind of hard to
to
explore, right?
no,
So,
wanna,
anyways,
yeah, just
mine
go to
was,
places and
yeah, and I wasn't intending to, like, cure my fear of heights. I just found myself in very high places, very often, to the point where it just stopped bothering me. So that's good,
that's
right?
all that's really
Yeah,
good. Yeah. I've always wondered if something like that would work. Like I literally because I mean, even when you're flying and stuff, there's so many things you do where you're really high up. And I'm like, at some point, does that break that? So
yeah,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah.
That's really cool. Well, I just want to thank you so much again for spending time with us today and sharing. And if I'll put the link in our show notes, but what is your website and Instagram handle?
So my website is travels with an S, travelswithtesa.com, and my Instagram is travels with Tesa as well.
Perfect. Awesome. So go follow, and by the time that this airs, I'm sure you'll probably be arriving back. So you'll have some new stuff coming and all that good stuff. So really excited. And thank you again, everyone, for tuning into this episode of the Lounge with Travefy Academy. And thank you again to our special guest, Tesa, for joining us today. And be sure to subscribe to our podcast or subscribe to our YouTube channel for all of the latest episodes. And we hope you enjoyed our conversation today and join us again. But for now, stay safe, and we'll catch you on the next flight.